Welcome to season 2 of On the Spot. At On the Spot, we discuss the issues. Substance abuse is at an all-time high in our society, especially amongst young people. Now, substance abuse refers to the harmful use of psychoactive substances, including alcohol, prescription and illicit drugs. Research shows that substance abuse can have adverse effects on health, families, and the society. Although there is an agency tasked with controlling the flow of illicit drugs, challenges with implementation and the non-existence of proper structures further makes this fight even more daunting. To start the conversation, I have rehabilitated 26-year-old Jonathan Coloco, who from a young age of 17 was a drug user. Having gone through a series of counseling and support, is today drug-free and now not only a big advocate on this issue, but has been able to go back to school. Welcome, Jonathan. Thank you so much for joining me here on the spot.
Yeah.
So you are a rehabilitated, person, and you basically got into drug use at the age of 17.
Yeah.
How did it happen?
It happened when I came across with a friend in school way back because I was attending a boarding school. So I came in contact with a friend that started using drugs with me.
In school?
Introduced me to drugs.
In school?
Yeah.
School, what class in school? What class are we talking about here?
JSS3.
JSS3? How did you let yourself get pressurized into using drugs at JS3?
It's just like peer group influence. I will just say peer group influence. Say like I'm with a friend, you are my friend. Say, bro, let's just get hype. Let's use it and ease our stress. You know, I have a lot of studies to do. So they just say, let's just ease our stress off.
Okay. So what sort of drug are we talking about here?
I started taking marijuana. After that, I started injecting myself with cocaine injection.
Okay. So here comes the interesting question. How were you at JSS3, you and your friends, getting access to a drug like cocaine?
By that time, my friends, he has the opportunity when traveling to Guinea, Liberia. So when we be coming back from holidays, we usually buy drugs when coming back from holidays.
So he goes on holidays?
He goes on holiday almost after every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks?
Yeah, because he's from Liberia. So there he's playing here, and for him not to be suffering here. So after every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, he goes for like 2 days or 3 days and come back.
And when he comes with this drug, is it free? He gives it to you people, or you have to pay?
As for me, I was a friend to him, so he gives it to me free, but sometimes he sells it to people.
To people. All right. So was this now like a business for you and your friend?
Yeah.
And who were the people that were patronizing your business?
So many people are patronizing our business.
Like what sort of people?
Friends in school, other people out on the streets who come and peddle our drugs.
Okay. So let's go through the journey of graduating from marijuana to cocaine. How did it happen?
It was, of course, he usually smokes together. So one day, because he was my senior in school.
He was your senior?
Yeah, he was my senior in school. So like one day he sent me to his box to get some things for him. So while getting these things, then I saw the thing like powder like. So I asked him, I said, hey, boss. Or I call him father by that time because he's my senior at that time, yeah. So what's this? And he laughs at me and told me that one day you will know, I'll tell you one day what's this about. But after selling these things, he usually earn a lot of money during his school days. And for us in the boardroom, even to afford a piece of loaf, so by then, hell on earth for us. Because from the time when our seniors eat, coming down to ourselves, at times there will be no loaf for us. So like, he was doing this business. So one day I asked him, I said, what's this? And he let the secrets to me. That's the stuff. And one day when we were in the school, I was stressed out, and I told him, and he told me that I've got something to eat to ease the stress, sleep over it, and then forget about it. And he gave me it. He melted it in a something like into stone like.
Okay.
So he put it in a small pot and we fried it together.
And then you inhale it.
Inhaled it,
So,
yeah.
and what was that feeling that first time you took cocaine? What was the feeling?
I can't say actually, but for me, I would say I was blessed. Some people first time they go half mad, but I was blessed. I felt asleep.
So you were lucky you did not go mad.
I did not go mad. I was just nodding hopelessly on the compound, and took me in and he said, "Go and lie down."
And all this happens on well in the school
The
compound.
school campus.
Okay, so let's now move you. You've graduated now to cocaine. How often did you? How strong an addict did you become, and how was it for you as an addict?
When I was in school or when he's not around, when I needed it, I start selling my things. Start selling my things, and he even showed me to other people in town that usually come with it or sell it. In fact, he showed me to lots of them, and many of them we are friends. So I'll go to them and say, "Hey, bruh, I don't have stuff right now. What's up?" Say, "Hey, boy, I've got small in the pot. Go and take it." So it was just like that. And for sometimes, even at times, I do take my school fees. When I give my school fees, say, "Hey, boy, go and pay your school fees." I say, "Oh, they give me, I'll pay half." Because in school, they'll allow us to pay
Half.
half and
Okay.
continue
So,
later.
so you started in JSS 3 and you were 17 years at that time.
Yeah.
This was in what year?
In 2010.
2010. When did your parents find out that you were a drug addict? Or you were using drugs?
I was using drug. People do tell my friend that I'm a drug addict, but they say it's a lie because they have never seen me doing it. Until at one time I was in my room after having it nice. I started shouting at myself just like that in the room. So my mom came in, saw the injective that I was using, the injection that I was using, and
So,
asked, after
go ahead.
everything down, then asked me, "What are you doing with an injection? You're not a nurse, you're not a doctor. What are you doing with it?" So after people asking, I said, "Oh mom, it's an injection for me." He said, "Oh, are you ill?" I said, "No, I just want to be with it. It's my injection." After several counseling, and she came out now and noticed that it's a drug. After showing it to friends and colleagues at work, so they came and find out that I've started using drug.
So you were initially inhaling cocaine
Yeah.
and then you graduated to injecting cocaine. So during that period of use, what was it like for you? How was your behavior, your pattern of behavior?
My behavior, I say, in the community was bad. People see me as bad person. Say, "Oh, Jonathan." As soon as you mention my name, somebody, that's a bad boy. He sell things. He fights with people.
Were you stealing
Yeah.
to
So at times,
to
if
fund this habit of yours?
yeah, especially when I'm at home, say like I want to go and feel I. If even my mom left her phone on the table, I'll take it. Go. I'll be on the streets at times 1, 2, 3 weeks.
Really? And your parents will be looking for
If
you.
you're looking for me, and I say, "Oh," and they start asking my friends, "Hey, where is your brother? Where is your brother? Go and call him for me. I want to see him. Just let him just sell the phone or do whatever he's doing with it. Let him come home."
So looking at what your family went through during your period of drug use, do you feel regrets?
So yeah. Because I feel regret. Say lots of money, they spend a lot of money on me, taking me from one doctor to another, taking me places, churches. I would say I feel regret because those if they have taken that money doing put it in any other use, maybe I would say yes. it's a huge income for them.
Right. So, if you look back now, how did your journey of rehabilitation start?
My journey of rehabilitation, I say, it's like a coming of Jesus Christ to me. Because on one era we are at the beach hanging out when I met with Mr. Kamara, Habib Kamara. His counselors and other people that are on the field usually meet me, say, hey man, stop what you're doing, stop this, stop that. I say, bro, I quote tonight. I say, bro, now government not giving work for you. So why you can't tell me that I left anything there? Several times, again and again and again. I said, hey, when someone is advising me, it's for your interest. I always get that at the back of my mind. I said, well, let me go and see if what they are telling me is right or not. Say like they have rehabilitation center, do you be there instead of you going on the streets fighting people or harming people? Come to us at the rehabilitation center at their DIC. Come with us there. I usually say, no, I'm not going there. Until one time when they met me at the streets, I was nodding, seriously sleeping on myself on the streets. And one of their counselors took me in. He took me in with saying, take me to their office, took me to their office at Kasala, Coal Farm, at Coal Farm. He took me to their office. I was there the rest of the day. I was there for the rest of the day sleeping until the evening when I was normal. They gave me food. I ate. I changed up my dress, wash. I felt good. And he told me that this was where I was always telling you about. I said, okay. He said, once in a while I'll be checking in you guys. So that was where I started gradually until when I know that yes, drug is not good because I'm not working. I don't have money to go and purchase drugs. If I want to go and purchase drugs, only I just have to do crucial things that will harm me or harm the society.
Jonathan, continue to stay with us or stay with me here on the spot. This is a conversation that is basically centered around substance abuse. I'll take a quick break and we'll be back to continue the conversation.
Domestic revenue mobilization is a key instrument for the government of Sierra Leone in reducing poverty, increasing financial independence, achieving middle income status, and charting the path for new directions. From supporting the free quality education, good roads, healthcare, electricity, and more.
Domestic revenue mobilization is very critical when it comes to national development.
Through the Asikoda World, we have developed beautiful management tools. We have also developed systems in which it will bring transparency and help to the importer, to the broker.
ITAS is a platform for all your domestic taxes. The electronic cash register system is the game changer.
Let's support government by paying our taxes. For more information, visit the nearest NRA office or log on to our website www.nra.gov.sl.
Welcome back. This is On the Spot, and we're talking about substance abuse. I have with me Coloco, Jonathan Coloco, who at the age of 17 started using cocaine due to peer pressure. So you basically, maybe I'd say one of the lucky few who've been able to get into drugs and get out of drugs. How easy or how difficult was it to get out of drugs?
I may say I'm a bit lucky. How you just said, like it's not too easy because once you are just addicted to it, it has been addicted to it, just like an habit to you now. So it's not easy. It was not an easy task for me.
So for the friends you had who were also drug or who probably are or were drug users, what is the most awful stories that have come out of those people? How have they ended?
Presently, I've seen some of my friends. We are all using drugs. Some of them presently are mad. Like I have one with me around my area presently is mad. And some people I don't even know the whereabouts. Some of my friends that we are all on drugs. But the only person I've set my eyes on is mad at the moment.
Is mad
Yeah,
at the moment
yeah.
due to substance abuse.
Yeah,
If you knew what you know now, if you knew what you know
yeah.
at that time in your life, would you have gone into drugs? Would you have allowed yourself to be pressurized into using substance?
No. To all what I've gone through, no. I won't even allow or even tell another person to take drug because I know the repercussion of it.
You've been able to go back to school.
Yeah.
What now?
Last year after last, I went back to school, and last year I sat to my senior school certificate exam, which is the worst. Presently, I'm working with SLYDC, Mr. Habib, as a senior field officer for drugs and advocacy.
So what would you like to say to young people out there who probably think that drug is the cool thing, and if you're not using drug, then maybe you're not in line with current trends. What would you say to them?
Well, as for my friends out there, colleagues watching us on television, I'll just say stay out of drugs. Although it's your money, it's your right, it's your priority, it's your enjoyment, it's your everything, but drug is not a good thing. It's not good to our health, it's not good to our society, our family. We'll be shunned by societies, we'll be shunned by families, friends due to drugs. So I'm advising everyone to stay away from it. And if you're in it, find a suitable way to deviate for it, or check on our website, our page at social linkages for youth development and child link, in which we will give you counseling and reasons for you to stop taking drugs.
Because as a reformed drug addict, you're now a strong advocate against substance abuse. Thank you so much for joining me here to share your personal story, and good luck with the work you're doing. We hope that more people get to listen to you and understand that drugs is harmful, and it affects not just only the individual, but the families and the loved ones as well. This is On the Spot. We'll take a break and we'll continue the conversation.
Setting up a business can be a headache, finding office space, buying furniture, printers and photocopiers, but if you're not ready for all that, BSI can help. BSI provides furnished and serviced office spaces for the short or medium term, whether it's for a day meeting, a conference or an immediate office rental for a few months. There are no long-term cost commitments and the offices are fully equipped with all your office needs. Or we can simply provide you with a prestigious business address thanks to one of our virtual offices. Find out more about BSI, your office away from the office. Go to bsisl.com or call 076 242 328.
Welcome back. Now, with the reality that many young people, like Jonathan, are battling with substance abuse, what then are the structures available to address this problem? Well, Habib Tego Kamara is the Executive Director for Social Linkage for Youth Development and Child Link. Now, he also doubles as the Vice Chairman of the Sierra Leone Alcohol Policy Alliance. His organization helped in the rehabilitation process for Jonathan Coloco. Welcome, Habib. Thank you for joining us. Let me ask a quick question. How do people or individuals like Jonathan get in contact with your organization?
My organization, the Social Linkages for Youth Development and Child Link, is working with young people that are associated with alcohol and substance abuse. And we have a program that we are reaching out to these drug users in their hideout in 4 districts: Western Urban, Western Rural, Bo, and McKinney. We did a population size estimate in 2013 informing us how to reach out to these individuals on the National HIV response. And there was a subset that we are targeting, which Jonathan is one of them, they inject drugs. And these people are the people that we are targeting in the HIV response. So we reach out to them, sensitize them, we have trainings for them. We operate a drop-in center. In this drop-in center, we have a counseling department with professional counselors. We have a whole set of drug demand rehabilitation programs that go within this of our drop-in center through the funding from the Global Fund, through the National HIV/AIDS. Jonathan was one of our first group that we came in contact with in 2016 at the Lumley Juba Bridge. So we started encouraging him because by then when we met him, based on his education, he has 4 WAS. So the way he articulates things, he wants to learn more. So we encouraged him. So he started visiting our drop-in center.
And this is usually the same process for every other
for every other one that he comes in contact with.
You have a rehabilitation center. Normally there's this process of detoxification.
Yeah, that is.
Do we have that in?
No, that is not in place, and that is what I'm now yearning for. I am running a harm reduction program with these injecting drug users. March last year, I have introduced a pilot project on NSP, which is a needle and syringe exchange program to this population within Western urban and Western rural, reaching out to 1,000 of them, these injectors. In the harm reduction, you have what you are talking about, destructification, which is OST, the opium substitutional therapy. That is for those that are overdosed. In our law books, it's not in our law books, most especially in the medical policy. So, the HIV through the Ministry of Health and with support from Global Fund, I was sent last year to 3 institutions just for this harm reduction. So advocacy has started towards that.
Advocacy is one.
One.
But just give us a clear picture of the reality of the structures we have in place and the structures we should have in place when addressing substance abuse.
There is no structure presently in place. And we have 2 laws that contradict those interventions you are talking about. The Pharmacy Act that came out, and Pharmacy Board Act that came out in 2001, and the 2008 Drug Act that came in 2008 when the cocaine plane landed from Venezuela to Sierra Leone, everything is criminal. And latter of that 2008 Act is saying those that will be the government or the state will be responsible for are those that are incarcerated. For us as civil societies organization, we see that that is discrimination. You have to criminalize somebody first before it goes in for rehabilitation. And we do not have rehabilitation center in this country. The psychiatric hospital is not meant for that. We need to have a psychiatric center. I only have a drop-in center with a trained and qualified psychiatrists and behavioral change methods. These are the synergies we are using to reform those that are on drugs. Addiction is something that is hard to incorporate that. You said something about the therapies. We need to have those therapies, like the opium substitutional therapy. We need to have a methadone. Methadone is one thing that you take every day. If you are an addict, you want to rehabilitate, you need to be taking methadone every day. So we have started reaching out to stakeholders that we should review our 2008 Act, which for us to come up with the best policy.
Now,
and there is a recommendation that was the 2008, which was the UNGAS, the United Nations Special General Assembly on Drugs, recommended harm reduction as the best policy for alternative for drug users.
What's the reality of substance abuse in Sierra Leone? Should we be worried as a country?
We should be worried. Sierra Leone has a drug problem, and it is on an escalating path. There has been innovations now in creating of drugs. You know the present saga on the country, the Pampers. And there is one, even after the Pampers, grey hair is now being used as drug.
I'm sorry?
Grey hair. I'm talking about our hair.
Really?
Yes, this is now going on. This has been in Southeast Asia, and it was in Nigeria for the past years, and now it has migrated to Sierra Leone. This gray here has a chemical which they call cataline. Cataline is a very good substance that takes people's high. So, and last year it was Kush. Towards the last quarter of the year, we started hearing about Pampers. These guys have innovation. That is the reason we are calling upon stakeholders. We need to engage our boys. In fighting drugs, we need to put best practice towards drugs. One, discrimination can make drug users to go underground. If you discriminate them, they go underground. Their practice be underground. And you can see in any facet of our environment in this country, there is pollution of drugs. Alcohol is a drug.
Yeah, now you've mentioned alcohol. We know that there's been a reduction in the tax on alcoholic beverages. And this, of course, there were a lot of concerns, but the justification from the government was, it would come in anyway illegally. So government wants to make it, I think, a legal, means for people to bring in this product. What's your take on that? And is there a consideration on the current substance abuse in the country?
I was concerned immediately after that act that came from Parliament. I raised that browse and I wrote an article. In a best practice, the higher the price, the lower the demand. If you lower the demand, the taxation, you have more people that are coming in. Now you see the present trench that present substance is creating a very big problem in this country. The alcohol, more the sachet rums. History or research has recently revealed that sachet rum is the way by putting new people into the game. That research was done by the GAP, that is the Global Alcohol Policy Alliance. They said it is the industry is so clever, they want to win young people. You catch them when they are young. And that's why that particular alcohol is being abused by all facets of ages. That is the reason for us in Sierra Leone, the Sierra Leone Alcohol Policy Alliance, we are craving on this present regime for us to have an alcohol policy in this country. As we speak, we do not have alcohol policy. We have what we call Liquor Act. Liquor Act is older than every Sierra Leonean presently alive. It was from 1924, and it is obsolete now for the present generation. For us to move forward, we should have an alcohol policy. If you have an alcohol policy, there should be an age demand to access alcohol. There should be area to sell alcohol. For example, Stella, look at if we want to succeed on this quality and this quality education, we need to have an alcohol and drug policy. Watch around the environment where our institutions, schools are built. All those places has semblance, they sell alcohol. Just take model as a case study.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do we have an idea why there seemed to be an increase in substance abuse? Do we understand, first of all, why? Before we begin to talk about how do we stop this?
Yes. One is unemployment and the present situation, how the country goes. Guys are unemployed. They are on skills. There is nothing for them to do during the days. And drugs has a peer-led related problem. If I have a peer that we are in the same environment, we are not employed, but I see him comes every day, either nicely dressed, or he's always on top of his own game. I want to be part of him. If you go in there, the initiation starts coming in. And even again, there is no way now, even from our primary schools, we have to be worried. With the statistics going on now, drug and substance intake is now from age 11 to 24. These set of people are very active on substance abuse, and they are actively on sex. And here comes the reproductive health system of this of our adolescents we are talking about. This is a one whole holistic issue and a problem that this country needs to come together. Again, there is an organization who has the statutory body to enforce or has that power to lead this country to what we call demand reduction education. That is the NDLEA. NDLEA is either budgeted for. The staffing capacity of NDLEA is nothing to write home about. If we are really serious as a nation, we have to put statutory bodies that we have put together to regulate things. Drug is a menace to our development. If this country wants to attain the SDG, goals 4 to goal 17, we will not reach there if we don't have a good alcohol and drug policy. These are challenges towards those national document for national policy for development and the global policy for development. Right. Because the employment, those that we are saying in 15 years, they will be gainfully trained, gainfully employed, will not be nowhere to be seen if we cannot control the way how young people access these substances.
And this is where we would have to bring in a rep from NDLEA. So, of course, this is on the spot. Continue to watch this episode. We're talking about substance abuse. We'll take a break and we'll be back.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Abu. I am calling for your rental tax payment.
Oh my goodness.
Hello? This is a call from the...
Your colleague is on the other line. Can you just please hold?
You're not a landlord or property agent. You don't hear about rental income tax. As property owner or agent where they collect rent, the law say you for pay tax and are you tax identification number where they call team you they use for pay am.
Yes, me fumble them. The law say without this tax identification number, you not go able to pay your tax. And if you not pay your tax, the law go bet you tranga one. Welcome, sir. Please sit.
Thank you.
We don't make them easy for you now. The law say, since you the collect rent we pass 7.2 million leons, you for come to NIA and pay your rental tax just after where your tenants don't pay you done.
So no more calls from everywhere, eh?
You go just get one SMS or one phone call. We go remind you, sir.
Thank you very much.
For no more, go to any NIA office near you or visit www.nia.gov.sl.
Remember, paying taxes is required by law.
Welcome back. This is On the Spot. Well, with the proliferation of illicit drugs, porous borders, and unfortunately, Sierra Leone now a major transit point, how does government handle this issue? Ibrahim Kagbo is the case officer and acting PRO from the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, and that's the agency tasked with a mandate to control and eliminate the illegal growing, manufacturing, selling, exporting, and trafficking of drugs, amongst other functions. Welcome to the show, Ibrahim.
Thanks for having me.
Right. So, of course, the mandate of your agency is to control the availability of illicit drugs. Unfortunately, the reality in Sierra Leone is there is a proliferation of illicit drugs. What's your organization or agency doing about this?
Thank you very much for hosting me in this program. The issue of proliferation of drugs, as you've said, is not just a problem common to Sierra Leone. It's a worldwide problem. Everywhere you go in the world, you find this issue of drugs being everywhere on the streets there. But what we are doing as an agency is that we are out there on the streets busy sensitizing people on the harmful effects of drugs. Yes, I do agree with you that it's a problem. It's a problem. We're concerned, we're worried, and that is why we are reaching out to the public to bring out messages to them. We've been engaging communities, we've been going to schools, just to see how best we can.
One would say the presence of NDLEA has not been felt. A number of people wouldn't even know your organization even exists. Well,
that could be the perception of some people, but we know that as an agency we're out there, we are reaching out to the public, we're reaching out to schools, and we also have a strong working relationship with other organizations that are involved in advocacy against drug abuse.
It raises question if Sierra Leone is now a major transit point. We will find a lot of people use Sierra Leone as the point to transit whatever drugs they want to transit to other African countries, to Asia and the likes. And unfortunately, Sierra Leone is the biggest grower of cannabis sativa in the Mano River Union area. And, one would say growing, something like cannabis sativa is something that is not done in hiding. Your organization is supposed to be on top of issues like this, but yet still we are one of the top growing countries in the Mano River Union.
There are several factors that one could present here, in the sense that, take for instance, cannabis, like you mentioned. People find it to be a lucrative, informal way of employment or business. And that is why you see a lot of people taking that path, because they find out or they realize that it brings them quick money to see. And for the issue you raised about Sierra Leone being a transit point, before 2007, that was how Sierra Leone was branded, as a transit point. But after the arrest, I will say to you here, after the arrest of the cocaine plane in 2007, we've not seen much of this trafficking of a thing. The reason for this is that statistics will prove that for the last 3 or 4 years, there has not been any major arrest. That tells you that indeed the security apparatus at the international airport at Linkage are working around the clock to see that those traffickers are arrested, and those that are arrested, they're charged to court. And we have a recent case, that was last year. The young man was sent to jail for 20 years, because he brought in cocaine, which is a prohibited drug.
But Habib, if according to what Ibrahim is saying, they are doing their best in controlling availability of this illicit substance. How is it then possible that we have a market flooded with such substance?
Yeah. As Sierra Leone and Sierra Leoneans really needs to take drugs issue very serious. 2 years ago, there was a report from the West Africa Drug Network in Nigeria and in Ghana through the Kofi Annan Institute that the West African hub is used as a transit point. And majority of those drugs are now being consumed here. And we have to be hurried as a nation. And again, as I was saying before, that the organization which my brother is representing in here, he's been budgeted for in the national budget. I was at the budget hearing, the amount they are yearning for, even 30% of that budget is not being met by the central government. He's been economical about the world scene, but we have drugs problem. NDLEA is supposed to be visual in every corners of this country. Visit Nigeria and see. Before you see the police, it is the mandate of the NDLEA to go and arrest. It is not the mandate of police to go and arrest. But when you ask the Sierra Leone, we have Toko, which they have spent a lot on Toko. They have spent a lot on police. What about the National Drug Law Enforcement, which came on an act by Parliament? The street can testify about the purification of drugs. If there are channels to control it, we cannot see purification of drugs in the streets of Sierra Leone. So, this is not a blame game. Let all Sierra Leoneans, those that are in authorities, that we need to come together to protect the future generation of this country. The future generation of this country is so eager on peer-led issues. Young people are every day initiating into drugs.
This is a major concern.
It's a major concern.
Especially as you've mentioned that the NDLEA is underfunded. So this brings me to the question, how do you work with, first of all, the ministries, MDAs, maybe Ministry of Internal Affairs, the police, Toku, for example. What's the work you do? How do you collaborate? Because the reality is we have a substance abuse crisis in Sierra Leone, and your agency is tasked with controlling availability of the drugs.
In the first place, we have a very healthy working relationship with other MDAs, that is ministries, departments, and agencies. We have what we call an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with these agencies on intelligence sharing. And once we have intelligence, or any of the law enforcement agencies, they have intelligence, we do share it, we come together, we look at it, and we make the analysis. If it's right for us to go into action, we go into operations. But as he has just mentioned here, it's not a blame game. I know that we want to be economical with the truth. Yes, initially I said to you, yes, there is a growing problem about drug abuse. The recent trends will tell you that indeed, the youths or those who are abusing substances are maybe moving from one thing to the other. Presently, we are grappling with this pampas of a thing, which is becoming now of a national concern, I would say. Just yesterday, it came to the fore in one of the television discussions we had from the psychiatric hospital that one patient was admitted. He's in his mid-20s or so. So that tells you that these people are just looking for ways to get high. And it's a problem for all of us. Like he said, we have this partnership with other institutions, mostly these civil society organizations, to see how best we can handle this problem.
How do you carry out your work in the fight against drug abuse and substance abuse in general?
Well, for now, what we are majorly involved in is sensitization, meaning we go out, we talk to the public, see how best to educate them on the harmful effects of abusing substance of any type. And also for the aspect of law enforcement, like he said, we do work in partnership with TOCU, that is Transnational Organized Crime, and the SLP, the Sierra Leone Police. Like I said to you, if there's any information that has to deal with arrest, seizures, and the rest of it, interdictions, we do come up with a combined team.
Without information or intelligence, the NDLEA cannot work.
Well, the fight against drug trafficking, it has to be intelligence-led. If there's no intelligence, you don't just bump into somebody or into a premise or into a community and then you have to have some intelligence.
Who provides this intelligence?
Well, intelligence comes from various sources. It could be from communities, it could be from our surveillance officers that are out there on the field. It could come from maybe, somebody who is just thinks that, yes, this thing is too much, and then we'll just give a call and say, this is what is going on in my area, in my community then.
Now, you did mention that, a lot of your work and focus is on sensitization, on the harmful use of drug or substance abuse. But this does not speak to the issue of drug trafficking in itself. It does not speak to the issue of those who manufacture, who store harmful substances that people use today, as we see. It doesn't speak to that.
Well, again, that takes me to the issue of available statistics that is available for us to use. Quite recently, we've just completed for the first half year of 2019, that is January to June, available records of interdictions that we have done. And it will tell you that indeed we are making progress in the area of arrest, and there are matters in court now for which we are waiting for the court to complete those matters and see what the outcome will be.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Continue to stay with me. I still have with me my guest, Habib and Ibrahim, and we are talking about substance abuse. We'll take a break and we'll be back. This is On the Spot.
Domestic revenue mobilization is a key instrument for the government of Sierra Leone in reducing poverty, increasing financial independence, achieving middle income status, and charting the path for new directions. From supporting the free quality education, good roads, healthcare, electricity, and more.
Domestic revenue mobilization is very critical when it comes to national development.
Through the Coloco world, we have developed beautiful management tools. We have also developed systems in which it will bring transparency and help to the importer, to the broker,
iTax is a platform for all your domestic taxes. The electronic cash register system is the game changer.
Let's support government by paying our taxes. For more information, visit the nearest NRA office or log on to our website www.nra.gov.sl.
Welcome back. This is On the Spot. Well, on the show, we are talking substance abuse. With me on this conversation is Ibrahim Kago, who is the case officer and the PRO, acting PRO for the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. Well, he's also joined by Habib Tego Kamara, the Executive Director for Social Linkage for Youth Development and Child Link. So before we went on the break, we're just talking about the realities that NDLEA has to deal with in tackling substance abuse. Unfortunately, one would say not much has been done. And when it comes to apprehending people or traffickers, do you link with schools? Because data is showing that young people, my first guest was in JSS 3 when he got into drugs. So do you interface with schools and have some sort of a program where you engage these young people on substance abuse? Ibrahim.
Yeah, we've had several programs for young people. We've engaged them. We've gone to schools. We've visited schools. We've met with them. And some of them will have one-on-one engagement with them, and they will really tell you what the problems are, how they got themselves into abusing substance and the like. And we look into them and see how best we can come up with something that will spur us into action.
In the fight against availability, I'm not even going to talk about substance abuse now, availability of this substance. What's the way forward? What's the solution in this fight?
The solution,
as an agency.
The solution in this fight that we are calling all and sundry to come on board. It's not a one-man show. It's not a one-man fight. We're calling all institutions involved in advocacy, drug advocacy, for them to come on board and join us in this fight. Of course, you've heard from the executive director from SLYDC. He's here. He's also been involved in the fight. And there are other institutions out there who are also involved in the fight, and even law enforcement agencies are also involved in this fight. So we're calling everybody to come on board and join us.
Your agency has conducted a number of research. What does that data show, or what does it say? What does it speak to the reality?
The available data that we have, the one I will authoritatively say to you here is that the one we have from the psychiatric teaching hospital. There is an increase. In other words, the demographic characteristics of what is available now informs us that people in the age bracket 15 to 35 or so, or thereabouts, are the ones that are vulnerable in the use of drugs. So that tells us that we have a lot to do.
When you mentioned the psychiatric hospital, do they give you data on the patients that they are dealing with that is as a result of substance abuse?
Yes, they presented, like I said to you, the one for the first half of 2019. We have that one available now. Let's put it this way. Out of 209 patients that visited the facility, a good number of them, the primary substance of abuse from this number that visited the facility, a good number of them, the primary substance of abuse is cannabis, followed by kush, and then you have tramadol and others. And for cocaine, you see there is a decrease. Cocaine and heroin, there is a decrease. Perhaps, I think if my memory serves me well, I don't think there is any record of it, meaning they did not capture anything about it. Perhaps it could be very, very low, the percentage here could be low. But what is alarming there in that is that there is this growing number of people that are abusing primarily cannabis, kush, and other psychoactive substances.
So in this year, what's the strategy then in tackling, especially cannabis sativa? We grow it here in Sierra Leone. What's the strategy in tackling this?
Well, part of our deliverable is to conduct what we call massive sensitization campaigns. Again, that one takes the lead in our deliverables. That one takes the lead for us to really engage communities, schools, and to see how best we can.
Has the NDLEA been empowered beyond sensitization? Because just like Habib mentioned, if you go to countries like Nigeria, you see a really empowered a drug enforcement agency where they have the power to go and arrest and in many cases really follow through on this. But it seems Sierra Leone's NDLEA is focused on sensitization.
Well, I agree with him in part. Perhaps what he's saying in terms of maybe enforcement is our visibility. In other words, us, like you find out, we go to Nigeria, they are the NDLEA. As soon as you get to the airport, you see them there, they are dressed in their uniform pass. That is what he is expecting. But on the aspect of the law or the aspect of the National Drug Control Act, it gives us very, very clear powers like that exercised by the police. Section 25 makes it very, very clear for us to exercise powers of the police. In other words, we can enter your premise, we can investigate you, we can arrest,
but you haven't done
we can charge to court, we can prosecute. We are into it. Like I said to you, we are into it. Together with transnational organized crime, we are into it. Yeah. We have been prosecuting matters of late. They are in the courts. The records will show.
With the little resource, I know you've mentioned they are understaffed, underfunded, on everything, under. But with the little they have and the little staff they have, do you think they are doing enough with what they have?
They are doing what they are supposed to do. But where justice needs to be done, they are really, like my man he's a case manager, he's a PRO. There should be somebody that should be in the other role. And again, when it comes in terms of national visibility, nothing to say to write home about it. We have a porous border, as you said in your intro. Where we have customs, we should have an NDLEA officers there. All these purifications you are seeing starts from that point. We have a lot of purification border in this country. This tramadol was coming through Guinea, but the police, the NDLEA, and pharmacy board, second quarter of last year, when the tramadol issue became, we had a meeting and we came up with something, and we saw what the amount of tramadol that was in the country started lessening because the price started going up. So we need the budget that they have presented for to Parliament. Let Parliament approve it.
So that's one solution there.
That is one solution. And again, we have to review our drug policy. We have to review it through evidence-based, like the evidence that now we are seeing. Let us incorporate harm reduction into our drug work. Let us create rehabilitation facilities within our PHU.
Let me ask, where then does the Ministry of Health come in this conversation?
That's why I have highlighted that our PHUs right across the country, we should start having like a mental health or a drug rehab session within our district facilities. We started from small. If we want to really see these drugs issues not to be a public health challenge to this country. Right. And if we cannot put things in place, drug issue has to be a public health challenge to this nation. We saw what the Ebola does to this nation. And there are now young people on the street using drugs. Their immune system is no more strong. If we have another epidemic that will come that deals with the immune system of those people, we are just going to lose them all.
So as we round up the conversation, for the young people, what are the preventive measures that we must take as a nation or put in place as a nation to address this issue?
One, we should follow the SDP, which is support, do not punish drug users. In this game, we don't have to punish the drug users. We have to punish those that supply it. Absolutely. The users need attention. Somebody like our laws, the two laws that I said, the Pharmacy Act, the 2008 Act, even possession of marijuana is a crime. Even possession of a drug is a crime. Taking somebody and incarcerate that somebody for 5 years. Spending about the research we have done that will be completed soon. Government spends on one prisoner per day is about $250. If we invent that $250 into harm reduction programs, it will be cost effective to rehabilitate them. And the law in the national drug law is saying until somebody is being incriminated, that will be the time he will have facility. Stigmatization and discrimination has taken place. That even makes the somebody not to finish it or administer the process because he has been discriminated by the healthcare personnel or even those that are caregivers. So we need to come together on the drawing board, a platform like my brother was saying, for us to see a reason. We have a rebel war. That was the linkage that spoiled everything. Sierra Leone was having a very big platform for us to showcase because majority of the young boys that we are fighters, we are drug users. Yes. But during a rehabilitation process, we just run to rehabilitate people, remove gun from there. We forget to take part of, to take care of the rehabilitation, those that we are drug users. From 2001, when Pakaba announced that war done, it was from there we started seeing accessibility and availability of drugs in the street of
Sierra Leone. Where we missed it.
That is where the linkage missed it.
I will halt you here.
Yeah,
I wish we could continue the conversation, but I want to say thank you so much, Habib.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you as well, Ibrahim, for coming on the show. And just basically to talk a little bit more on substance abuse. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We will definitely continue this conversation. We'll bring you back just basically to follow up a little bit more on this growing menace in the country. This is On the Spot. Coming up next are my final words. In my final words, substance abuse is a great menace that needs all hands on deck to tackle, especially as more young people fall prey. It is time for us as a people and governments to accept that Sierra Leone is now dealing with a substance abuse crisis and thus must commit money to its fight, starting with empowering the security apparatus and NDLEA to providing robust infrastructures such as rehabilitation centers, detoxification centers, safe homes, and more. It is important to note as individuals the harmful social, economic, and health impact that it possesses. With the growing number of addicts, the road ahead is a very long one that needs to be started now. If you are or you know someone battling with substance abuse, please get help now before it destroys you and your loved ones. I've had a number of people share their story of recovery, and I urge you to join as well. If you have a story you would like to share, head on to our Facebook page to share your story and maybe inspire someone today to take that step to make the change. On the Spot will be back next week, but do remember that you are fabulous. Stay tuned.